Always magnificent. Field music live in session on the other side. So, Peter and David, welcome to the programme.
Hello. What a pleasure to be back.
Oh, and I just need to explain for people listening at home, there really is actually just two people in the room, apart from a good self, aided and abetted by a drum machine. So, the first question has to be, really, from a man of a certain age, has the drum machine got a name?
It doesn't actually. We did try to crowdsource a clever name. It is the other drum machines are available. We're using an Alesis SR16. It was a very common thing to use back in, I imagine, like 1992.
Right.
It's not highly sought after. It hasn't made it to vintage yet. But I think the SR should stand for seriously radical.
Oh, well, maybe there's a name in there. But I do know somebody, I can't remember who it was, but they had the old Wurlitzer beatbox, you know?
Right, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Which really was Dickensian. See, it's funny because you're like saying 1992 like it's a dark ages. That's still still relatively modern to me.
No, it's at that point where it's like it's not old enough to be cool, and it's not new enough to have that novelty.
I know how it feels.
So do we.
I'm only asking you because I do remember when I was in the fall, we were mates with Ian McCulloch and Echo and the Bunnymen and Julian Coe. And whilst we were out at the pub one day, which was almost inevitable, we came home and there's been a record slipped under the door, and it was from Mac. So he'd been round to Mark Smith's house, his apartment there in Prestwich, and slipped the first Echo and the Bunnymen single under the door, but we'd missed him. And then he went, it's off Mac. Oh, this band have made a record. Oh, great, okay. I said, what's the band called? He said, Echo and the Bunnymen. I said, oh, what a crap name. They'll never get anywhere with that. But of course, the drum machine was Echo. That was,
yeah. Well,
that's the truth of it.
Yeah.
What's your local newspaper?
The Echo.
Well, call it Echo, the Junior. Echo Junior for the time being.
Yeah.
All right, let's move on. So you have a tour in 2025. You've been doing this lineup on some in-stores. You've got some more coming up. I'm going to go see you tomorrow night in Piccadilly.
Oh.
Yeah, definitely. So is this the lineup that you will be taking out on the road in February next year or whenever it is? I'll find out soon enough.
Well, Dave will be there, and I'll be there. But
Right.
I think we'll have a band.
Okie dokie.
Not just Alesis.
Echo Junior. It's sounding wonderful, but whatever. And so we need almost an apology, really, for some mix-up tonight in Liverpool. Because
dear.
Yeah.
Oh, dear. So, we were at the Jacaranda in Liverpool today. We'd been told that we were going to play at 6 o'clock, which, as far as in-stores go, I just wouldn't have questioned it. That's a kind of, after the shop closes,
Sure.
just tea time. We'd advertised it as such, but it turns out that somewhere way before I'd got involved, there had been some kind of miscommunication. So the tickets that were given out were like doors at 7.
Oh.
But obviously we'd said that, well, we'd love to come to Six Music and play for Marc. So we made a bit of a hash of that, and there are going to be some people who rightly a little bit furious, and we'll have to figure out how we can make amends.
Make it up, yeah.
But I think we should try and make amends tomorrow, because we'll start trying to make amends tomorrow.
Oh, not now.
I don't think anyone's going to accept our apologies today. They're going to be in too much of a bad mood.
Well, yeah, the word slightly furious remind me of the phrase slightly pregnant. But anyway, you're an oxymoron. But so you make records separately. We know that because you've both come in with field music and various different projects of your own. So at what point did you just look at each other and go, aye, it's field music time again? What kind of triggered it off for you?
I think we'd always had in mind that when we were ready, when there seemed like there were songs that we could do more together, that would be the next thing.
Yeah.
And actually, when Peter was doing a Blow Dry Colossus album, which was like mostly instrumental, there were certain tunes that were floating around then, which were like, yeah, but that one's probably going to turn into a song, and we could build a field music album around that kind of thing.
Right.
So it's been in the offing.
Right, okay. But I read, correct me if I'm wrong, the content, you did approach it in a little bit more of a kind of, what's the word? Not reckless, but, you went into it without the same kind of formats in mind that you might have had before. Did you throw caution to the wind a little bit?
I think so, maybe. I think, I don't know whether we ever have much of a plan. I think we just have whatever's in the studio, and we just kind of, I think so. I don't know whether we've did we have any sort of concept for it or lack of.
I mean, you had a bunch of songs that had a sound, and it appealed to me, and basically we
as well.
we follow whatever kind of whatever appeals to us, and this is where we have ended up. But yeah, I mean, Peter was doing these things where it was a mixture of drum machines and live drums, and a lot like using the synths as a kind of compositional tool. Like I say, like kind of growing out of what he did on Blow Dry Colossus, and it coincided with the fact that I've just been listening to loads of Avalon by Roxy Music, and I thought, oh yeah, so if I do some things that sound a bit like Avalon by Roxy Music, it'll fit all right with what you've been doing.
And yet here we are with no synthesizers whatsoever.
I wonondered why you were wearing white tuxedos.
Yeah.
That really did perplex me, just to begin with. I also read that you had kind of a serious kind of passing of sorts within your realms, because the cafe, that meant an awful lot to you right throughout your life, from going as kids to teenagers to, I believe, being almost used as an office, and then featuring on the cover of Tones of Town, is shut down, and that marked a kind of the end of an era for you in a way.
Yeah, it was. I felt it quite keenly. I felt not like I didn't have anywhere else to go, but that was where I gravitated to. It was just a great, unpretentious place to. Martin Stevenson from the Dainties probably said it best. You'd sit there and watch the world go by,
right? And
you could see the lives of people, kind of. Or
it's funny though, isn't it? How those kind of safe spaces, if you like, mean so much, and when they go, it is just kind of a sign of the times. To quote Brian Ferry.
Yeah.
Yes, exactly.
Right. Okay.
You just end up having to like confront yourself a bit, don't you, when things like that go.
That's a bit heavy.
Sorry.
It's a bit Radio 4, this, actually.
Sorry.
I would say.
Let's not go there.
So it was 12 years ago, which makes me feel very old, but then again I am, that Plum was released and nominated for Mercury. Okay. Yeah. And so next year is a big anniversary date for Field Music. Are you going to mark it in any particular way?
Well, we'd have to get Andy Moore, the original organist, Fingers Moore out to I think to market. I think that would be the thing.
Right.
If we can get him out, we'll mark it.
Well, you see, I mean, you've done lots of field music sessions for us with different lineups, but usually 4, 5, maybe even 6 people. But that very first session was just the 3 of you, which is of course how you operated and recorded at that point in time.
Yeah, that was it. Yeah, the sort of power trio. Well, yeah.
And I also know, I did know this before, but something else in your press release tickled me, which was the fact that before you started doing your own bands and then joining together as Field Music, you used to do classic rock in pubs and stuff.
Yeah, me, Andy Moore, and David Bruce over here. We used to. That's where we cut our teeth.
That's basically how we learned to play. I mean, we played quite a lot actually. Like from when I was about 14, 15, we did a gig or two every week.
Wow.
And I'd go into school the next day, like barely able to speak because I'd been,
singing Born to Be Wild.
I'd basically pretending to be Joe Cocker, like, and did quite a good Joe Cocker actually back then. But yeah, I couldn't talk the next day, and I couldn't sing falsetto. Actually, I completely lost my falsetto, which is a bit funny now, considering it like it's one of the things we do.
Yeah, don't do it. I was just going to suggest you do Born to Be Wild on the tour that you do with Andy, but perhaps not, eh? So I've just mentioned the fact that you are doing the in-stores. You've done some already. But tomorrow, Piccadilly in Manchester, 6 p.m.
That's what we've been told, but
Yeah.
I'm paranoid about them all now.
Yeah.
Well, it better be, because I'll be there at 6 p.m. The following day, Monorail in Glasgow, 7
7 p.m.
Yeah.
7 p.m.
17th, Reflex in Newcastle, 5 p.m.
And then 6:30.
And 6:30, which
Oh.
is sold out.
Oh,
The
right.
18th, Rough Trade in Nottingham, 7 p.m. And then the 19th, Rough Trade East in London at 7 p.m. And next year, we've already mentioned, so you're playing Oran Moor in Glasgow on the 2nd of Feb. The 3rd will be Carlisle Old Fire Station. The 5th, Broodnell Social Club in Leeds. The 6th, Band on the Wall in Manchester. The 7th, Concord 2 in Brighton. Finishing off at the Union Chapel in London on the 8th of February. All those dates for Field Music. So always a blast to see you, and sounding just amazing despite it's the two of you and Echo Jr. And you've got 2 more tunes to do for us. You're going to do The Waitress of St. Louis and then also In Context.
Yes, that's right.
Fabulous. Okay, Field Music. Thank you.